All right, welcome to ESK8 UK live experience. I have some amazing people here who have just joined, and I know that it's probably coming out live just now. So we'll just let the internet catch up to all things worldly, because I know that the internet takes a few seconds to catch up. But I have Silent Suki in the background as usual. So thank you so much, Suki, for organising an opportunity to talk to the other two people on the screen. I have Javen, the owner and I suppose founder of Propel electric skateboards. And not to not mention this gentleman's name, I got to spend a little bit of time with him in Vegas at ESK8 2025, which is Russ. Welcome to Eastgate UK Live. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us, guys.
Oh,
Hello, everyone.
our pleasure, our pleasure. And I'm so pleased to finally be able to talk to you. We were going to be jumping on a live a little while ago, but I know that there was some stuff at the factory that were going on that took precedence. It was more important, obviously. And we're back now and we're finally here. I'm going to go into a question, Jarvan, specifically for you. What brought you into the world of electric skateboards rather than scooters or unicycles and other devices? What made you focus on electric skateboards?
Um, I I think because of I think the electric skateboard is more fun. It's more like a snowboard and carving more freedom feeling. Uh, and for four wheels, because the skateboard is four wheel, it's more easy to learn to stand on it and more friendly for freshmen. That's why we choose electric skateboard. I like the feeling of riding skateboard.
I completely agree. Completely agree. And Russ, mate, I know that you're in the chats. You support the community in such a full on way, and I thank you for all the input that you give the community, because you don't just talk about Propel. You jump in everywhere and you help everybody. So you're a real community guy. Where does your passion for e-skate and electric skateboards come from?
Um, well, I've always been kind of an adrenaline junkie. I skied moguls on the U.S. freestyle team when I was a kid, and even
Oh,
though I became a UPS driver for 20 years after that, I still always had my penchants for fast boats and fast cars and just things that bring you back to feeling your freedom and being on the edge and pushing the envelope and stuff. And then I
well,
came along into a situation where
just say driving to UPS, you'd be an adrenaline junkie every day, wouldn't you?
yeah, right. That was a stress related adrenaline, totally different than a freedom related adrenaline. Yeah. So
Understand
then
completely.
after I hit 25 years at UPS, we came into a situation in my family where my sister was diagnosed with ALS, and I really wasn't happy with my job anymore. I'd already done the time to get my full pension, and was kind of looking for a reason to leave, and that was the perfect one. So, I left UPS early, and I grabbed my sister and moved to Florida, and just basically became her caregiver. And then I found e-skate stuff online, and I started looking into it, and I was saying, that's something that I could do really close to home and not be too far away from my sister, and still get that freedom fix. And plus, I use it for utility. We live in a condo complex. I run the trash up to the dumpster with it. I go check my mail. I run over to my neighbor's house, and I found that it really filled a hole that had been empty for way too long. And I'm kind of like the obsessive compulsive type, where if I get into something that grabs my passion, I have to max it out. Just like skiing. I didn't start skiing until I was 16, and I was on the U.S. team when I was 21.
Wow.
Just have this drive if something grabs me to really pursue it. So, as my sister progressed more and more, it came to the point where I could only ride at night now. So I'd have to wait till she went to sleep at 11 o'clock or so, and I'd go ride from 11 to 1, 2, 3 in the morning, but all close to home.
Yeah.
But it really became a tool, and we hear this from so many different riders. A lot of the riders, the demographic is the 40-year-old guy, and a lot of us have been through some trials and tribulations in life. whether they're vets or they're just family men that don't have an outlet. They don't fish. They don't have a boat. They don't have that hobby that they love. And then they find this, and it just becomes their everything. I mean, we have guys that ride together every night. Nothing makes me happier than seeing a family do it together as well.
Yeah.
We have a few guys who bought boards. Their wife was jealous because every time, as soon as dinner's done, they're gone. They go ride for the sunset and they're back at 9 o'clock. So they end up getting the wife a scooter or something else that she can ride to go with them. And next thing you know, they're not on the couch. They're out in public, in the fresh air, doing something together as a couple. Or the
Beautiful.
father and
Yep.
son. A dad buys one, and then he buys a smaller board for his son. And now you have a father and son doing things together. And those are the posts when I see those that really make it all worth it. They make it worth the hard posts, or the once in a while you get that impossible to please customer or whatever. And you always find that balance when you see those posts like that, because I can relate to having that release because I didn't have it before. And then when I found ESK8 during that time taking care of my sister, it really was, my biggest form of therapy, and it didn't cost money. And, it just came to me at the right time. I find that the universe does that for you in life. It brings you what you need when you need it. I needed it.
Yeah. I think, Russ, it's one thing that we don't talk about enough, and that's if you play golf, put your golf car clubs in your car. You drive 15 or 20 minutes to the golf course, then play golf, and then you spend 6 hours doing it. If you're
And $200.
Yeah, if you go surfing, you put your surfboard in your car, then you drive 15 minutes or maybe 2 hours to a beach, then have no surf, and then wait there for the surf to change, or you go out and you have average surf. I think the one thing that hits home for me is I've got two children, and when they're asleep in the morning on a weekend, at 6 o'clock in the morning, the sun's just starting to come up, and I find my hour of skate time. I jump on my board and I go for a skate. And I think what you make a very important point there is it is a form of therapy. It is a person's individual, man, woman, whatever, to jump out and just have a bit of personal me time, and just recenter and come back to it. So it's really important to push that conversation with skaters as well. It is for just freeing yourself of all your everyday problems and just enjoying the fresh air and the sunshine, and just living for that moment.
I think it's such a big part of life nowadays, especially as you get older and you're wiser and you know the way the world works, is that taking a couple minutes to maintain your mental health is a requirement. It's not something that you should be lucky if you get to do it. You really need to make the time to do it. And ESK8 just fits that so perfectly for so many.
Yeah, you have a stressful day, and if I could skate in the middle of the day, I could work, decompress, have a moment, and then go back to work again in the afternoon. It would be a much better work day. I'd be much more productive in the afternoon.
What's your boss's email? I'll send him a note.
I've told him. Don't worry, I've told him. I do have some questions that I'm going to ask, and I'm going to run into those now because I'm going to get those done. What do you think of the fun of electric skateboarding? What do you think of the trend of electric skateboarding industry increasing pursuit of high speed and large batteries? So there's a lot there. First part, what do you think of the fun of electric skateboarding at the moment, like for the community and people in general? What do you think the hunting?
I think the fun, according to the experience in the past several years, I found the people's preference is totally different. Different people have different preference, and in Propel, we are trying to make different. You can see this is offloading. Let more people enjoy the fun of nature. So I think the fun is different for different people, for different road condition. So we develop a different series of board to achieve the different fun. For off-road, X4R twists board like off-road car, and all-terrain board for comfortable. You can you just like step on the cloud. This is how people say the
Yeah.
endeavor. And streetboard, like pivot in the Ruckus also streetboard, but Ruckus is more like F1 in the car is racing is low, much low, how to say, uh,
Clarence.
yeah, so it's more stable. So we have and portable for daily use. If you want to go the nearby store, you don't want to pull out your X4R or Enduro. It's very close to where you live, so you need a portable board. That's why we designed the Sigma. So,
Yeah.
uh, in my opinion, the fun is different. Some people like Enduro, some people like Pivot, some people like Reckless or Sigma. So they have different choices. So not just one fun stand for all skateboard. So for different people, for different condition, you need a different board to make fun. That's what I think about the electric skateboard. Not just speed, not just speed, not just fast. Not everybody want fast.
Yeah.
Some people just want to feel the the feeling of freedom, relax. Yeah, uh,
And
This
just
the,
kind of goes. This kind of all fits into where we're headed now. You know, when Propel first came on the scene, we were known for all-terrain mountain boards. Independent suspension was our creme de la creme.
yep.
Endeavor, I think, will always be our flagship platform. But what we're doing now is, as Javen pointed out, fun is a lot of things to a lot of people. So we want to apply our version of fun to address all their versions of fun, not just the off-roaders, not just the guys that want to go fast and stable on the street boards or the super low street boards. So now we're going to look into other boards that can fit all those other realms and try and round out our line a little bit, basically addressing fun in the industry.
And it makes a lot of
uh,
sense to do that. It really does. Sorry,
So, but
Javen.
I
it's a growing thing. This has always been the plan. Javin's a long term thinker. He was making plans 4 years ago that I completely disagreed with, but here we are 4 years later, and I'm looking at the success of the company, and I realize that I have a lot to learn from my businessman friend over here. I may know what looks cool, and I may know what I want, but I don't necessarily know the industry and the trends and the things like this. That's where the team excels at. But we all have our special fit in the team, and everybody gives the boss his input, and he makes great decisions from it. But yeah, that's
uh,
always this has always been
I
our
can
whole
see there.
line.
I can see there is a question. What's my favorite prepare boards and why? Right?
Yep.
I can. In fact, here's the deal. For every board, we in fact we have developed a lot of different kind of board, and for every board, I decided to make it mass production. I allow it. The basic benchmark, the principle is I need to write it arrive at my home and I still don't want to stop. I want to write it more. This is the basic principle. If it passes this principle, I will make it mass production. Otherwise, I will pass it. That's not a good design. That's not a good feeling. I don't like it. So, the mass production means a lot of investment. So
Yeah.
this is how I choose the board. So the answer is every board is my favorite, but in different condition, different purpose, different fun.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I don't have a Propel behind me, but as you can see, I don't muck around. I've invested in this sport, and I've got many different boards for different things. And I think you're right, Jarvan. Every board the Propel lineup has a place, and everyone is of such excellent quality and rideability. And I use that word rideability as a benchmark for myself because I'm like you, Jarvan, and probably like you, Russ. if a board doesn't feel good underfoot when you're actually standing on it and rolling, you don't want to go fast. You don't want to carve. You're like, oh, this is okay, and
Yeah,
you give the remote back.
yeah. I'll ride
Yeah.
any board, but I don't ride every board with confidence.
I will ride any board, and I'm happy to ride a board. But if I'm riding a board, um, and I'm not in a hurry to get off it, that's when I
Right,
know that it's working. And
right. As
it's
opposed to riding it just so you can say I tried it. Wasn't for
thanks
me.
thanks for the ride. I'm lucky enough. I was with Scott Davies, who loves Propel. Him and I spent a weekend together not long ago, and I took your board and I made a little video on YouTube. I took your board off road for the whole day, and I couldn't believe it just did not stop all day, and I punished it, and it was amazing. It was all off road. It was great. It was a great day. Thanks to Scott for providing the board up in Queensland because I travelled to him for it. So, all right. So, getting back to this, um, what do you think the trend of electric skateboarding industry is increasing pursuit of high speed and large batteries? So with that in mind, I mean, there are a lot of companies trying this idea of bigger batteries and racing boards. What is your thoughts around that? Is it not part of the Propel's philosophy yet, or is it more of a we'll wait and see?
Yeah, so it's a funny thing because one of the things I promote on the Facebook and on the social media stuff is about how we really appreciate the input from our riders. We think that I realize that in my older age that there are companies that hire other companies to ask customers questions just to get that feedback, and we
Yeah,
have it for free. All you have to do is just talk to your customers and find out what they want. And
100.
of course, you're going to have guys that want longer range, no matter what. They don't care if they have to put a Samsonite suitcase in between their legs. They want to go 300 miles. That's not me. I'm 58. I do a lot of utility riding. I do riding in the parks, riding on the beach. I don't do long group rides. So that's really not my thing. But then there are other people that want a light board that they can jump with. And that's the problem as a designer is trying to fit everybody's needs and wants. Because even like the guy that wants a light jump board, well, he also wants that board to be able to go 30 miles in range come weekend time when he's riding with his friends and not just at the ramp in the woods. So
Yeah,
how do you build a board for $2,000 that somebody can only use on a ramp in the woods, and not anywhere else? And so when it comes to the design, that's where you got to try and find those sweet spots where it does a little bit of both. So you can call it a jump board, but it also has the capability to get range. Or you can call it a shorty, even though it's heavier than most because it has range, or lighter than most, so you won't have range. There's always going to be gives and takes with it,
yeah.
and that's the biggest part with designing. As far as coming up with new models and stuff like that. But we always have Javen. If he rides it, doesn't like it, it doesn't go anywhere. So that's kind of what he takes care of answering all those questions kind of quick. But
Okay.
obviously, we'd like to see something with a long range.
Yeah.
A lot of our boards, even though we don't advertise them as long range boards, the Endeavor GT will get 40 miles. The X4R will get even more with 12S7P. Usually the X4R is something to look for range. People look for range in because usually it's trail riding in the woods and it's a lot rougher. So it's usually shorter sessions. You're not just cruising on the road for 30 miles. But it's finding that balance. You want something fast, but you also want it light so people who live on the second floor can carry it. So it's just a lot of compromise to come up with that perfect thing that people are going to want. And then not having 15 different boards in the lineup. You don't want to have boards that are so slightly different from each other that it's kind of crazy to have two different SKUs and two different build processes for two things.
And I think that's from the Propel lineup as well.
Yeah,
It's really interesting to see that you don't have two boards that are similar. You've
right,
got you've got the X4 at the extreme, and you've got the Ruckus at the other end, and you've got a couple of boards in between, and then obviously the Sigma at the end. But you've got that good range that everything fits perfectly in a line of synergy.
yeah,
But it's every board is very different to each board. So I
right,
think, and I think your position in market is fantastic for that because you can fit all those demographics of riders across the spectrum of your boards, which a lot of
Yeah.
companies don't do. They just keep putting more and more boards out, but some of the boards don't actually fit a position in the market that they're good for, and you see the board come out and think, oh, they'll sell maybe a couple of hundred of those around the world, but it won't be a board that everybody sees and wants to buy. And I think with the Propel lineup, people see the Propel boards and they say, "Oh, I really like that one," because and it's different than their other one.
Right.
So
And we
and then
do,
you get a lot of return customers that way.
right. And we do find that, some people want something that's in between this one and that one. And if it doesn't, it's an investment to bring in a new model. Obviously, you have everything
That
from
is such
new
a good
parts that you
price.
have to have.
Sorry.
But if we can use our existing. What we like to do is we like to build a product, and then next year we'll make that product better than it was the year before with all the input we get from the riders. Instead of coming out with a whole new product that we have to try all new things with, improve, and find the places we could have done better. We'll just improve a model year after year. Like when you see the next Endeavor that comes out, you're going to be blown away. It's basically the final ultimate. There's nothing more you can do to make a board more perfect. And the Endeavor platform I find on itself is already fits such a wide range of people. Its umbrella is well encompassing because it's a street board, it's an all-terrain board, but it's also
But
a little more capable off-road than most all-terrain boards. So.
I think Russ, looking at what Suki's put up there, and I think your radar chart shows everything perfectly. A lot of the boards can fit most of the sweet spots, but your X4R is like the extreme off road. The Endeavor will go off road and on road comfortably. The Ruckus can do a little bit of light trail, but all road and a little very sport. And your Pivot GT fits all those other ones, and your Sigma is your shorty. I mean, it's a perfect suite right now, and I commend you all, especially Javen, for this lineup because I've ridden them all, and there's not one of them I must admit there's not one of them I don't like riding, which is tremendous. I mean, the X4 I started on a competitor's board many years ago, and I never got the chance to ride the X4 until I think it was 2023 or 24 ESK8 and I was like, this thing's it's just a beast. It was a take on anything, and I had a bit of a stand on Scott's, and unfortunately didn't charge it for me, but it is a machine. But I think talking about your suite of boards is fantastic. I'm going to jump into the next question. What do you think is the most important thing when you design an electric skateboard? Ooh.
Uh,
I
the
can
first
answer.
one,
Go ahead,
yeah,
go ahead, Jeff.
I'll answer this. Yeah. When we design a product or we choose to make a product, the first one is safety. Yeah, we must make it. This is a root. This is a basic. We must make sure it is safety and reliable. And even so, we in the past we paid a lot on this part. We will to even make even it not as good looking or not we make take the risk. We don't make take the risk to give up the safety to achieve other targets. So we
Yeah.
will ensure the safety is the first one, and the second one is solid, reliable. The quality must be reliable because uh, we cannot afford. We don't want any rider get hurt when riding your board. So on the ESC choose on the structure, on the material, we choose the reliable. We must make sure it is reliable. Other than that, fun. That's we make the board. It must be fun enough. Must be people want to ride it more,
Yeah.
more and more. That's the how we design the board. If a board we cannot we cannot find the fun and different fun and cannot achieve what we want in this condition for off-road for all terrain. If not fine enough, we will give it up. We will still make it under development, not release it. That's how we make the product. Okay, Russ, you can complete me.
No, I want that was good. I was going to say I wanted to answer it so I could show that I listened to you, because this is something Gavin preaches all the time when we talk about, when we talk, some nights we're talking about marketing, some nights it's customer issues, some nights it's design. And when it comes to the design stuff, I'm constantly be reminded, safety first. It's safety. I can do that, but it wouldn't be safe. But then they'll come back to me with my idea, modified, safer. So it's just, I love the way the team works. And one of the things that actually attracted me to working with this company when Javen first approached me was, one of the things that I noticed, this is back when the X4S was the only board that we had in production. When I came on with the company, along with my other friend Mike as consultants, together we all built the Endeavor as a design team. And that's kind of the real birth of Propel, the company you know today. But when I first came on, all that was out there was the X4R. And I've mentioned this on the show before, but it's just a perfect example of how the engineers at Propel think when they put safety first. Is, you have your alignment arm, that little bar that runs from the center out to the hub of the wheel that you can lengthen or shorten to keep your wheels in alignment. Those often, when you have a front wheel impact crash, especially a single wheel impact on an angle a bit, that's the part that breaks as far as the suspension, the control arms and the alignment arm. They designed an alignment arm that will bend but not break. So, two reasons behind that. Number one, now you don't have sharp parts on your board. Because if that arm snaps, it's aluminum, you're going to have two sharp arms that are dangling around, and it's dangerous. Secondly, is you can limp the board home if you smash it into a rock and bend that arm. You can bend it back slightly and still limp the board home. The whole point being that it's a part that we sell for $10 because we designed it to be sacrificial because it's safer. Just as a point to how we think when we design things and keep safety in mind first.
Yeah,
I think made that. A lot of companies would make that bar stronger so it doesn't break. But
that's right.
We designed it to break because if that bar doesn't break, more expensive parts will. And we knew that we could design that one so that it could break safely and still allow you to limp the board home. Even if that motor is not working, you still have three other wheels that are in drive that'll get you home.
Yep.
So this is an example.
I think it's something that people don't take into consideration enough. I mean, you have to put I'm an engineer by qualification, so I look at contingency every time we design or manufacture something for my work, and you look for the weakest link, and you say, okay, that's our fault point. We make that fault point cheap and replaceable, and therefore, if it does bend, it's a quick replacement. It doesn't take very long, and they're back up and running within a few minutes, and it's affordable and it's okay. And people will accept that as long as they're aware of it. And it's a good thing to put that safety measure in there, because you'd rather spend a small amount of money replacing a small part than a lot of money when something breaks, because when something breaks, the force and impact that it puts on other parts then wear or break other parts. So your pyramid of failure increases the harder something breaks. So it's smart.
Right. And it's not just more expensive parts that can break. It's also a repair job that is now 4 times as long as the 3 minutes it takes to swap out that little bar. It's 2 screws.
And the other thing that I've got to say, I mean, Javen has a world map behind him right now. If people don't know, Russ is in the US, Javen is in China, I'm in Australia, and Suki is in the UK. So the map that you see behind Javen is represented. And when we look at ESK8, Russ can help you from America if you're local to him. If you're in Asia, Javen and his team can probably help you there. I'm in Australia, and a few people here know a bit about Propel, so we can help. And there are people in the UK. But if you break a lot of parts or damage something badly, it's not just it takes a lot of time to fix. You need to find someone who can help you, and then you need to get into customer care or customer service, which Russ, I know you do an amazing job of, and I know that Propel is one of the best in the market for support. But even then, you really don't want to have the customer feeling like they're out of having a problem, having to figure out how to fix their board. It adds another layer of stress to their riding, and that you
Are
don't
you
want that.
are you aware of the Propel Virtual Garage that we have?
I am, yes.
Yeah. So that's the main reason we designed that. Because
Russ,
even if, you know,
give me the 2 minute synopsis of it for people who don't know out there.
so essentially the Propel Virtual Garage is an online library of service, maintenance, and instructional tutorials. Everything from how to change a tire tube all the way down to a complicated job of like how to swap a battery on a Ruckus. But it's all done step by step in detail, wording on the screens, lists of tools that you need. I started off doing these in my garage when we first started the company. We just thought it was a great idea. And we only had one board out at the time, so it was pretty easy to keep up with. But as we grew, and as my sister's care declined, which needed me more, we decided to hire somebody to actually do that in-house now. And so now we actually have a studio in the factory, and we have one person that does the videos. His name is Owen, but he does them 10 times faster than I do and 10 times more professional. I got a nice compliment in ESK8 last year. This guy, gentleman Douglas Cook, came up, and he's not a big Facebook guy or whatever, and he's in his 70s, but the guy is just a hot shit. And he was saying, one of my favorite things about this whole company is watching your videos. He says, because you explain things to us where you don't make us feel stupid for not knowing. And it's because I'm not a big mechanic. I don't know what I'm doing either. I'm doing it. You're watching me do some of this stuff for the first time myself. But it really is that easy, and that's all because of the thought and design that goes into the engineering and the construction of them. You'll notice things, and that's what I used to like to point out when I was doing the PVG videos, is that the way Javen designs things that are going to need to be worked on are accessible. Just a lot of thought goes into the placement of the parts, wire management, which is a big thing with me. I hate sloppy wires. Just little things like that. But that's what Propel Virtual Garage is. It's an online library that we built for our riders, and they absolutely love it because, if you go back 5 or 6 years in this industry, you had a problem with your board, you sent an email to China, you would get a reply 2 weeks later that basically said they totally didn't understand what you were saying. So you reply again. Now it's been 6 weeks before they even know the problem yet. So.
Yeah. And I think
Garage really eliminates a lot of that because you can just go right to the video you need. You can watch it, pause it, do what it just said, watch it, pause it, do the next step, and guys can fix the stuff themselves.
And I think, in all honesty, Russ and Javen, I have to commend that because I don't think there's any other electric skateboard company in the market that does anything like that. I know one of my favorite brands, and it's because he's a close friend of mine, Liam from one of my favorite boards down here. He does those videos, but he hasn't got enough of them, and he looks at your videos as sort of like okay, I need to be doing more of this because it is extremely helpful for the global community. I mean, we can't be everywhere at the same time, but if you create this library or this encyclopedia of how-tos, fantastic. It is so good and it's so valuable.
I mean, the main intention for building it was to have this as a service for our riders and just to have that one extra thing that other companies don't do for their riders that we do. But what it's actually turned into now that it's sizable and we're becoming sizable is it saved a lot of man hours in the office with the customer service team having to reply to emails because guys can go look up how to do something on their own and they don't even have to bother the office. And this allows our email service agents, our customer service agents to spend more time with our customers that have legitimate problems that need step-by-step hand-holding and walking through. It just allows them to service them better because you don't have a lot of that clutter fodder in the customer service email box. So, and that's also part of my job too, when I'm in the Facebook community during the day, is to find customers of ours that need help and try and help them before they ever have to buy the office so we can keep the office flowing smoothly.
Yeah.
We are okay. We are also seeking from the local store who can supply repair service to supply better local service experience. Test ride the board. We are trying to find a good store to make some cooperation. We are all keep working on this.
Yeah. So if you're out
This is,
there in the world and you're watching this, Russ is on Instagram and Facebook and all the rest of it. And if you reach through Propel, if you know a store in your local area that um, would be interested or would like to take on Propel in the local area, if there isn't already somebody there doing it, please reach out to these guys because it will make the support for the brand and your access to the brand even better. So please reach out to these two lovely people and make sure that you make a connection with your local store to see if it will work and if the communication or the opportunity could present itself. So please reach out to these lovely people. I'm going to go on to the next question. Um, can you share with us what you're doing currently? Is there anything happening that you can?
yeah, we had this week. We have a couple of things coming out. This week we just released the 8 millimeter axle for Ruckus, so it could take the mad wheels and other wheels that guys were discouraged that they couldn't ride before because of the axle. So
I,
now
I did actually see. I did actually see a reel of that. I think it was yesterday. I'm not sure
yeah,
whose video it was, but someone was running 105s on the Ruckus, and I remember I looked at it and went, "What? Hang on, I didn't."
yeah,
Oh. So you got me. Great. That would
yeah.
that'd be a great combination. I'm looking forward to putting my feet under that. That'd be great. Be
And then
really.
the next little development we'll be putting out into the social media is that we want to show one thing we didn't do in the promotion of X4R is show there's a little plate on the back that's not just a little plate on the back. It's actually pretty integral. The holes that are in it are specific for size. You may have noticed on the X4R we have that spare tire that mounts on the back.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that mounts to what we call the utility hub. That's what we call that plate. That plate also has holes in it where it can accept a trailer hitch and it can accept a 360 selfie stick, so you don't have to hold it behind you anymore. Yeah, each of those holes has a reason in there. We're in the process this week of making a short little video to show people next week exactly what the whole rear end of the X4R is about, because it's pretty cool if you don't realize that you can pull a trailer, you can hold your selfie stick. There's a bunch of different things you can do back there.
Nice. Well, it's good. I mean, a lot of people want to put a long selfie stick on their board, front or rear, and it is a challenge to mount a long selfie stick somewhere. So it's a good thing because there will be people who will definitely take that on. And in Australia, I'll be honest, there are people who take their children and their dogs out behind their
Yep.
boards
Yeah, and little
constantly.
bicycle carts.
Yep,
Yeah.
constantly. It's a very common thing, and
Yeah.
it's
Hey,
great to get your
groceries.
yeah.
I have a guy around here that uses one to take his groceries back and forth. By
Why not?
groceries, I mean a beer run that's going to be more than a 12 pack. The 12 pack he would carry. If he's getting more, he brings the trailer.
Yeah, there's only so many you can fit between your feet on a board. That's for sure.
Yeah,
All right,
that's
so I
it.
suppose.
He was wondering.
Um, so it's a couple of really interesting things, which is always good because the value add on your products is what makes you stand out. And I love that you've got great products, but you're actually thinking about the next step of what can we to make these better or more accessible or more usable, which is it's fantastic. I am going to ask: is there anything like in the future that maybe not leaked or not known about, or there is something you might be working on, or is there something a new board or?
There is and there are, but they still won't be leaked. It's just too early yet. But we're always developing. We're always innovating. Again, we like to be the
Yeah,
leaders in the industry of what's new and what's going to be coming out next. And we are
one
working on things that we just can't talk about
one
just yet.
of the okay, one of the most busy department in Propel is R&D. So they have tried and make a lot of stuff, and uh, I cannot say which one will make it public, but we are still working on that, and the work is mainly in two parts. One is make our existing product perfection. Um, we have developed anything we develop, anything new, we develop good stuff. We will try to make it applicable to our existing customer. For example, the Palm remote. We have reached the Pro FOC, the most smooth controller and remote. We have received a lot of feedback. People and there were Ruckus customer wanted it. So we are working on it. So we hope we can supply it to our our existing customer. Also, we are still trying to find more fun in different products. So another part, one part is existing product and serve good to our existing customer. Another part is making something new, try to find more fun, different feeling with different category product. So we are doing that. We are still working on that. Uh, we can show you maybe next ESK call.
Yeah.
Sounds good to me. Now, those of you who don't know about Javen, and I'm going to be, this is in the being totally polite. I've decided at the last Eastgate Con, Javen told me his story about his lovely remote, which he just showed us for the Sigma. I would use the term OCD, obsessive compulsive. It's not in skating terms. It's not a disorder. It is something that should be honored, because if you haven't put your hands on that remote, it is still to this day is the nicest Eastgate remote I've ever held. And Javen, you shared the story in Vegas with me in March that you literally you tried it and sent it back to the factory. I think you said approximately 100 times because you weren't happy with it, which I think it's such a good story and to explain your passion for making products perfect. Honestly, when I got to try the Sigma, I was one of the early users of the Sigma in Vegas. I think we had it before you even took it to Eastgate Con, to the actual event. We got to play around. Scott and I got to ride it. I fell in love with the board. I thought the board was spectacular, but that remote just left such an impression on me. And I still, to this day, I don't think I've ever held a remote as good, ever. It's so
Guess what?
nice.
We're not done with it. There's more stuff that's going to be packed into it. So
So
Yes.
if you're out there and you haven't put this remote in your hand, grab it. Buy a board, get a Sigma. This remote will change your world. It is so nice in the hand. It is spectacular.
yeah,
Absolutely spectacular.
one of the
And I've had
nicer comments. One of the nicer comments about it from somebody at Eastgate Con was that I think he said, "Holy shit, it's like an Apple phone." Working through the menus and stuff, as opposed to the standard skateboard remote that everybody's used to. I thought that was a nice compliment.
I think the funny part for me is that Jarvin and I were having breakfast at Denny's, because that's what you do when you're in Vegas, Las Vegas.
Yeah.
You go to have breakfast in Denny's. And being from Australia, obviously we don't have this. But Jarvin and I were talking about the remote, and I said, "I've got small hands," and Jarvin didn't even say anything. He just did this. And
Yes. Go ahead.
Jarvin and I have exactly the same size hands, and we both laughed. It was so funny. There it is there. And it was because having smaller hands, it just sits and cups nicely. But talking with Scott, who's Scott's over like 6'2" or something, Scott's got quite a grown up hand. I've got a child's hand, and he's said it still feels amazing. So whatever you've done,
I think a part of it feeling okay in any hand has to do with the size of that thumb wheel too. You notice the size.
absolutely.
The thumb wheel is like 4 times the size of any standard thumb wheel, which also gives you more precision and control in your throttle. But it also allows a larger hand to not feel small on it. And having it in the proper hand is also a big deal, because it's also the only remote that can be programmed to be in your right hand or your left hand.
Your left hand, yes, and it's one of the things that we all spoke about it in Vegas at Eastgate Con was the diversity for left to right. You have the screen facing you, no matter whether you're left-handed or right-handed. It doesn't matter. It's just such a unique feature that no one else provides, unless you've got a trigger remote. And a trigger remote is challenging for people who have never used them before, where this is just next level. Um, I'm going to ask something because it's personal and me, and I'm being selfish. It's my 2 seconds. Um, Javan, there has been many conversations at ESK8 and some conversations since ESK8 that I've been a little privy to. Um, Maybe talking about having an event in China. Is that still being spoken about?
Yes, we are still working on that. And in fact, I want to hold a campaign in my town. It's a beautiful town, and I want to invite you all to come to China to visit. This is a small, beautiful city and around by the sea and have a lot of seafood and very beautiful. I want to make a campaign just like ESK8 and invite you all here. But we need in China, we first need to get the government approval. So
Okay.
I'm working on that. I hope I can make it in the best season and the make a great campaign. I hope the rider can enjoy the trip to China to prepare. Maybe
Okay.
visit my factory and test all my brand and test all brand. I have talked to a lot of brand, the owner of or other brand. They are glad to attend the campaign. So hope I can get the approval of the government.
Scott
They
said
just
it there.
yeah, they
Scott and I
just
will.
Yeah.
Scott and I
uh,
will definitely be there 1,000%.
Craig. I'm not sure if you know they just had an event in China.
Okay.
They,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
did in Shenzhen. Scott and I spoke about it, and the timing just did not work for us, unfortunately.
Yeah,
But if we have enough notice, we will definitely be there. I mean, it was disappointing Scott and I couldn't do it. Scott had some personal commitments, and so did I.
yeah,
But we were well and truly the day. I think it was the week before the event started. We were still trying to figure out if we could make it work.
yeah.
We were
One
desperate.
thing, one thing about that event, though, I think, is that it showed the government that these events are viable. So
Yeah,
now Javen, his job is to go get on the government and make it happen. But again, it's a lot easier to approach the government with something like that if one's already been done and nobody died, you know. And yeah,
yeah,
it's
and
a
I,
very
and I think
protective, it's a very protective government when it comes to liability stuff.
yeah,
So,
absolutely. I mean, I've traveled. I've been fortunate enough to travel all through Pudong, Shanghai, Shenzhen, Guangzhou.
Well,
I spent 7 or 8 weeks in Hubei, doing some installation of some engineering equipment over there for nearly 2 months. So
yeah.
I've been lucky enough to be in China many times, and it's an amazing country, and I'd love to explore it more. And if Eastgate can bring me back there again, I would please take me. I'm happy to go because I think people don't get the luxury to see how amazing the country is. Wondering if Javan has experience in Eastgate rite of passage, as in falling off a board. Oh well, there you
That's a good
go.
question.
Good question, Javan.
yeah. Of course, you can see the scar, and I, of course, I fall. Especially when usually I'm the first test rider, the prototype test rider, and the final test rider. Every board from the factory, I need to test the rider feeling. I need to make sure it is what I want. So I'm the most experienced test rider in Propel. So especially when during the test prototype, uh, the test ride is a fun problem. So when there is a problem, I cannot avoid fall. So it happens. It happens. But wear the safety gear, please. Everyone, be safe.
Yeah.
Ride safe.
Yes, we all learn that we need elbow pads once we come off the first
Yeah,
time.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that hurt. Maybe I should
because
wear elbow pads.
falling doesn't hurt. Landing
No,
hurts.
landing hurts. Yeah. So,
Yeah,
Jarvan,
to, to avoid the testing the prototype falling because we need to test the top speed, the mass current output. So in that condition, um, it only happens when you ride in the deep hill and the speed is high and the current is high. So this condition is very dangerous. So we have designed a machine to to make how to say simulate that
Shoot the
condition.
cutoff.
simulate.
Yeah,
So
simulate
what?
that
What?
condition.
There is a robot Jarvan riding skateboards in China.
No, it's
What?
like a treadmill that you can put a board
I
on with
know.
weight on the board
Yeah, I
that you
know,
can
Russ.
elevate.
I was just thinking in China they've got service robots now, so I thought they might
Yeah,
Jarvan
yeah.
might have hired a service robot to ride his skateboards to test.
That was our latest
Too much.
investment. We bought 10 iBots.
Um, Suki put up a question, Jarvan and Russell. I mean, you both can answer this, and it is her usual question she always asks. If in 115 years science fails to save us, and all that is left is a book about your life, what would the title of that book be, and what would the blurb or the information on the book tell us about Jarvan?
How to say? I hope. I hope um, it can say that the team of Propel or the all the guy around Javen uh, make create create a fun create a fun that didn't exist in the world before them to make this work. That's meaning a lot for the whole team, my team. For example, the independent suspension. Uh, for example, to make a small vehicle, but achieve the feeling riding snowboard. You don't worry about it whether there is snow or you need to in the any any weather anywhere you can get the exciting feeling of snowboard and the feeling create a feeling excitement that's a lot of meaning to me to the whole team my team. I hope it can be done right down like that.
Yeah, I think it comes down to you as a person, Jarvan. It's not, and I get this. I got this when I was lucky enough to spend time with you and Russ in Vegas. You, it, the whole thing about Propel is not about Jarvan. It's about your team, and I think
Yeah,
something that the world should know. It's not about the brand. It's about the community that you've built for yourself making the boards, but also the community globally that you're building through your board. And I think it's nice to understand that even if you wrote a book about yourself, it'd still be about your team, and it just goes to show who you are as a human being. And I really I think everybody who knows you and has had the fortunate time to talk to you is grateful for who you are and what you're doing for all of us, and that goes for you too, Russ, for all the work you do in the back end, because you are all a team, and it shows so much.
yeah.
It's funny though.
Uh,
I fully agree with the
I,
team concept, but it's not
for
just the
me,
employees. The Propel
For me,
team.
I hope I just be say I'm the founder of the team, but I hope the memory belong to the whole team. Uh,
Yeah,
especially, I hope the ESK8 could be a sport in the future, a big
yeah,
sport. A lot of people will love it, and I hope all my team can play an important role in the history of the sport of ESK8.
yeah,
That's my dream. Yeah.
yeah. And Russ, if there was a book about, I'm going to throw it to you too. If there was a book about you, 115 years, and what would the blurb be? Title and blurb.
Um, Died with no regrets. I was very fortunate. I've had a great life. I got to travel young. Um, I come from a great family. I've never wanted for anything. You know, I was instilled with a good work ethic. I've had phenomenal friends from all over the world. And if 10 years ago, I said, if I die tomorrow, don't feel bad for me because I had a great run. So died with no regrets for sure.
Absolutely, and I think that's how we all want to live, and I think that's how we should live: is experience life, live life, and more people enjoying nature and everything else that is in Propel's philosophy on the wall behind Javan.
Yeah.
It
In
says
my
everything.
older days now, one of the things I've found is gratefulness. It helped me a lot with dealing with my sister's stuff, and I really dove into it head first. And one of the things I'm most grateful for is having Javin and I having found each other because we don't just have a well working personal relationship, but we consider each other family now. I mean, look at how we speak in English here. 5 years ago, he couldn't do that.
Oh, I'm still nervous about the language. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, now
And
you're
believe
even
me,
doing now you're even doing
yeah.
interviews. No more excuses. You got this.
And I've honestly, I have to say, a lot of people who don't know Javan uh, don't know that Javan is not very confident with his English.
Yeah.
But when I spent time with Javan in Las Vegas and Russ and some of the Propel team, I had no problem speaking to you. And I think my camera just went off, so just bear with me. It'll there it is. Um, it, your English is amazing, and thank you so much for the time, and thank you for everything else. I'm so grateful to be able to do this. And when Suki said a couple of hours ago, Jarvan and Propel can make it, and Russ, I said, all right, no worries. I'll drop everything. I'm going to be there because I so much wanted to see you both and talk to you again, and I really appreciate it. If anyone's got any questions, I don't know if anyone's put anything up there. Scott Davies has been in the chat, and I am so grateful for him. Chuck it up comments. He's always around in the background. He always watches. He is Mr. Eastgate. He's the OG of the community of YouTubers and so forth. So I appreciate him. But if anyone's got any more questions, please chuck them up now so we can have a look. And we will get through them as quickly as possible. And I think we're going to call it quits in a minute and let you lovely people get back to your lives. Just trying to bring up this live chat. No, there's nothing, no new questions for anyone. I'm going to throw it to Russ. I'm going to give you a couple of minutes. Is there anything else you want to say before we close off?
Not really. I want to thank you and Suki again for giving us the platform to chat a bit about what we do at Propel, and most of all, above and beyond anything else, a huge thank you out to our customers, our family, our riders. Without you, we wouldn't be who we are. We appreciate you for not just your support in buying our product, but your support and giving us input after you buy our product, and just helping new customers come to the Propel family with your input and your posts on Facebook and stuff. And again, if anybody ever needs to reach me, you know how to reach me. I get a lot of people saying, "Oh, I feel bad. I know this is your personal account." It's not my personal account. I'm there to help you. So reach out to me and don't think twice about it because that's what I'm here for.
Yep. Javan, any final words from the man himself, Mr. Propel? I still am a little bit speechless because I'm in awe of you, Javan, and what you've done, and the time you gave me in Vegas was so good, and I'm very grateful because I know you were such a busy human being at that exhibition.
Uh, Thank you. I'm very appreciate Greg, Suki, and all the people, all the writers support us. Of course, Rasi, yeah, all the people support Propel, and uh, I know there is something we not doing perfect, but we are making it. We are always trying to make it better and better. So anything we are still working on uh, innovation, making more stuff, make it more optimize all the existing product. We are trying to make it better and better. And also not only the product but also the service. I hope we can make Propel better and better. And I hope more people will enjoy the ride and find the fun of e-skate. I hope the community of the electric skate can grow bigger and bigger, and finally make it a sport. And appreciate all you guys. And we will get back to work again to make it
All right.
better. Okay. Thank you.
Javen, Russ, thank you so much for both being here. I know that there's a certain person in the background who's hiding behind Javen, Vivian, who we all know is out there in the Propel land. So thank you, Vivian, for being in the back end too. Thank you, Suki, for organising this. You do a sensational job, and I'm very grateful for you getting us all together again. Scott, I want to see those 105s on a ruckus soon, so I'm going to put it to you there. There's Vivian. Hey, good to see you again.
This is my service girl.
It is Saturday in China, so people are working, and I'm not. I'm lazying at home. But I want to thank you both so much for all the work you do. Thank you so much to Propel as a company for what you do for the community. You're putting some amazing boards out there, and I know that Drew, Thomas, myself, and Scott do nothing but talk of the brand so well because you don't ever let us down with what you're bringing to the market, and we appreciate that greatly. And there is many customers that I ride with constantly on Propel boards, and they live and love them, and they continue to thrive in everything that they're doing. So appreciate from the community from down in Australia as well, because the boards hold up well and they do such a great thing. Now, quick final one from me. If you need any support for anything, go onto their website, have a look at that amazing videos and stuff of the selections. Russ, what was it called?
On YouTube, it's Propel Virtual Garage is the name of the channel, and our website is www.ridepropel.com.
Now, on the other side of that, if you need anything at all, they flashed up the price of the Ruckus before. It is ridiculously priced. It's $400 off for that Ruckus at the moment, and it is such a beautiful board. Go and have a look at it. You won't be disappointed. The remote for the Sigma, I still love it. You guys just blow me away with how good stuff is. So I'm going to call it there. Thank you so much to everybody joining ESK8 UK live experience with Suki, Javen, Russ, myself, Craig Taylor, ESK8 Oz, and everybody in the comments. Thank you again. Till next time, adios.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody. Have a good